There's an economic imperative to including women more fully into society and the workplace. The lack of representation is no longer just a social issue, but a business one too that's costing women, companies, and ultimately economies. Built on the theme hashtag UNSAID and hashtag UNDONE, the Procter Gamble Summit brought together leading voices on gender equality to challenge the current discourse and to push for progress. Joining us to speak on this is Corporate Affairs and Citizen Leader at Procter Gamble, Cassie Jagani. Cassie, good evening and thank you so much for your time. Firstly, we're in a situation where the world is still caught up in this global pandemic, and the evidence so far shows that women have been disproportionately affected by COVID-19 than their male counterparts. What do these figures look like in particular for the workplace and also for women who are part of informal economies?
Thank you, Kathy, for having me. I think that that's such a great first question. Part of our journey with the UN Woman was doing some research around the impact that COVID-19 has had on women. And what we're seeing is honestly a little frightening. 40% of all employed women around the globe work in the hardest hit sectors that were hit by COVID-19. Speaking more specifically, it's women's paid labor and women-owned businesses that saw, some of the greatest impact, with 25% of them losing their jobs entirely, and the remainder seeing a significant decrease in their income. And 47 million women are estimated to experience or be pushed into extreme poverty within the next year or two. And so these numbers are really, really shocking. And if we look at this in comparison to the impact on men, this comes down to, for every one man that was impacted, we're seeing 18 women experiencing a similar impact. So it has disproportionately impacted women for sure.
Are there particular reasons for why women are so vulnerable?
It's about, when we look at the data is showing us that women are working, as I said, in the hardest hit sectors. And what are those sectors? It's within the healthcare industry. So it's our nurses and our doctors. And, for South Africa, we see a lot of women in that space. It is within the hospitality industry as well, and also within domestic care, right? So statistically, more women are in those areas. And those areas have been hardest hit as, using South Africa as an example in our domestic care. We saw a lot of people, a lot of women losing their jobs as a result of the pandemic.
What role do corporates like yourself, especially as part of an initiative like the one you've been involved in, play in, I suppose, equalizing the playing field as much as you can?
So I think as corporates and as multinationals, it's important to understand that our impact is so great, right? Whether that's internally, because as corporates, you're hiring, whether it's hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, and multinationals, even hundreds of thousands of people, your impact is great. If you are also in the corporate space and you're pushing out a lot in media, if you're advertising a lot, you're impacting a lot of people. And so it really is about understanding these opportunities and taking advantage of them to push out a narrative or a strong message promoting gender equality. So an example I can give of this is in the event that you are advertising, for example, laundry, you're making sure that you're representing and what the images that you're putting out challenge today's gender normatives, the things that people believe to be true. So instead of showing only women doing laundry, maybe show men doing laundry as well. And again, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, you're sending the right message to challenge the narrative that is out there today. Internally with your people, taking the time to grow people, mentor them, coach them, and to build an equitable display of leadership, right? Because it's about showing then your organization and people applying to be part of your organization that we care about all perspectives, male and female.
Of course, one of the big issues globally has also been around equal pay and whether or not, we're getting any closer to achieving equal pay. What role do you think that would have, in particular, on reducing the vulnerability of women who we know, their salaries reach so many more people at the end of the month, whether it's salaries, whether it's wages, whichever way a woman is able to earn that income, really.
Absolutely. I think, Kathy, one of the things that does need to happen is there needs to be an element of understanding within your corporate space. If you are in the space to influence these things, take the time to understand what does your data look like today, right? Of course, statistically, we're seeing that men are paid a lot more than women are. But at the same time, I can only control what's true for my people and within my organization. So take the time to understand, and from there, draw up an action plan to address whatever gap exists. And through that, I'm sure we'll see some positive change.
Of course, the other difficulty for women during this period, especially those who've had to work from home, is that the issue of unpaid work then also comes up, because now they're at home doing much more than they would have before. And that also adds to the scale of inequality.
Absolutely. This is something, as an organization, we also looked at this thing of looking at, as opposed to looking at hours-based work, looking at output-based work. And I think that this has been hugely transformational, because pre-COVID, there really was this idea that you had to be at the office from 8 to 5, and this is the measure of success. But COVID forcing us into lockdown and forcing people into work from home has allowed kind of a freedom with flexibility, right? Today, I now get to decide what my day looks like. Am I going to arrive at work earlier and leave a little earlier, or arrive later and leave a little later? My day is kind of more of my own. And this is something I think corporates should be pushing more. This is something we are pushing more as P&G. And the results that we've seen are hugely positive in that space, being able to allow families to do what they need to do for their families while still being able to deliver their outputs for work.
Of course, one of the exciting initiatives that you in particular as Procter Gamble has announced is around the leave allocations that you're providing, especially for new parents.
Yes, absolutely. So, previously we had 2 weeks of paid paternity leave available to our employees. And really what this does is it fosters and it again pushes that narrative that women should be at home with their families and men at work. We have recently been able to change this and introducing our new Share the Care policy, which is what we're terming it internally. We've increased this to allow parents a minimum of 2 months paternity leave to allow them to be part of their families at those crucial early stages when a child is born.
All right, let's leave it there for tonight. Cassie Jagani from Procter & Gamble.